Real people, real interviews.
I just have to say that I object strenuously to your use of the word hilarious.
Hard-hitting questions.
What do you think about feminism? Do you like it?
Taking you to the cutting edge of truth.
Yeah, well, Last Jedi is one of the worst movies ever made, and it was very clear that Rian Johnson doesn't like Star Wars.
Kyle pulls no punches.
I want to ask how you're able to sleep at night.
Ethan brings bone-shattering common sense from the top rope.
If I may, how double dare you?
This is the Babylon Bee Interview Show.
Yes, bone-shattering common sense.
That's right. From the top rope. And in my crosshairs is Mr. Michael Malice. And we're excited because he's here in person. We've had him on long ago over Skype. He was one of our first interviews ever.
He was gracious enough to join us, even though our podcast was nothing.
I'm such a fan of you guys, like an enormous fan.
I mean, the Babylon Bee name was big, but the podcast was...
I'm a fan of Ethan's too. Ethan had done my show.
Yeah, I was on his...
That's true.
It's so weird. I've done his show in New York, and he's now on our show here on the other side of the... That was hectic for me.
Of course.
Have you ever watched... Because I had not driven in New York ever before, and it was a huge mistake. And so the story's on your show, so I'll leave it for your show, but I was so sweaty and like frazzled. And I got into your show like 3 minutes late, I think. Like you were already trying to get recording. And you can watch it on, I think it was on YouTube.
Now it's on gasdigitalnetwork.com for the archives. But yeah, if you want to hear Ethan talk about his jars of pee, and somehow...
Wait, you talking about urine on his show too?
Oh, of course. And somehow, just by looking at him, I knew that there was a jars of pee story in his background. And yet, correct again.
We always have to stop him. He's always talking about bodily fluids on this program.
Does he talk about his gout on the V2?
We didn't get into the gout.
No, the gout.
That was a different story than I've told in this. I've told this.
I haven't heard the gout story.
Yeah.
Incredible.
This is about Michael Malice.
Yeah, this isn't about the gout.
I had this friend who had gout once.
Is his name Ethan Nicolle?
Maybe.
I see what you're doing. All right, so if anyone isn't familiar with Michael Malice, we had him on our new show earlier this week. Mm-hmm. And he is the author of some interesting books, including Dear Reader, the Unauthorized Autobiography of Kim Jong-il.
Yeah.
It looks like the second, based on this in this font. And The New Right, A Journey to the Fringe of American Politics. Yes. And then you have a podcast called You're Welcome, which is spelled
purposefully without
Y-O-U-R.
Correct.
Welcome.
All capitals and quotation marks.
And Nightshade.
Yeah, that's my nightly news show for compoundmedia.com.
So, all that to say, Michael Malice is a dangerous anarchist.
I am.
So we have some hard-hitting journalism here for you on Anarchy. We have a list of things that are completely going to own you, because we're going to blow your mind with
anarchy is
what
not
would an
self-ownership.
anarchy even do?
Well, not self-owner. This is going to be Babylon Bee ownership.
Okay.
Yeah, you're getting owned. So your house is burning down. Do you put the fire out with liberal tears?
Anarchy is not necessarily, anti-liberal per se. I think...
I don't get that. Actually, I don't get that question when I ask.
Yeah.
Well, because he can't call the fire department because he's an anarchist.
Well, no,
or what do you use? Do you put it out with...
You've put it out with your tactical nuke.
With Anarchy hair gel?
That would take care of the problem.
Yeah. Fire extinguisher, maybe. Privately purchased and produced.
That's like the meme. Don't have to worry about house fires if you nuke your house.
Because anarchists really like hair dye and like spray on hair dye and like hair gel. So things can be very flammable in anarchy. And they're not going to have fire departments.
I don't think you're thinking of anarchy. I think you're thinking of nothing.
I'm thinking of like in every 80s movie, there's always a gang of bad guys, and there's always one guy that has like crazy hair, and he's like, yeah. Like he's the guy, he's a crazy guy.
But he's not the anarchist.
Going to cut you. That's my vision of what anarchists are.
That's no.
They're the kids who shop at Hot Topic.
Oh, no, they are not.
Like on the Charles Bronson, with his main movie.
Wait, isn't there a Christian Hot Topic?
There is.
I think there's there is. Yeah.
Is there?
Kill me.
I would like to know about this. I'd like to know more.
What do they call it?
Is it just like the same things as Hot Topic, but 10 years?
Yeah, I think they probably call it
10 years
back, Hot Topic.
If it exists, and I'm not making this up, because I think it does, because I know there's a overweight people Hot Topic.
What's that called?
I don't know, but
Fat Topic.
Big Fat Topic. But if there's a Christian one, I really hope it's called Stigmata. Like that is pretty good Christian Hot Topic.
All right. So in your anarchist utopia,
this is what I love. I gotta stop.
What?
Because when people criticize anarchism, it's both a utopia and Mad Max, like simultaneously. Your utopia is hell on earth. Yeah. In your hell on earth utopia.
Hey, that's heck on earth.
Yeah, sorry. But, no. When it's anarchism, it's all cursing by law.
Okay. In your anarchist
Hecktopia.
Heck on earth.
Heck on earth.
Heck on earth doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah, it sounds nice.
It's kind of sunny.
It's a little warm.
You got to wait online a little too much.
Who would the children pledge allegiance to?
That's great. Okay, that's such a good question. In an anarchist Hecktopia, the children are pledging allegiance.
You say Hecktopia?
Yeah.
That's a good title for this.
I don't. Why would there be? I don't think. I mean, if
we stump Mike.
No. Let's break this down.
Mic dropped.
Because I have to convert the verbiage to anarchism. So if you have pre-owned adults, who are they swearing fealty to? I would say the whoever they choose to.
Okay. So they just, at the point that you say, I pledge allegiance to, and then you just hear like a bunch of rabble because everybody says
something different.
Well, yeah.
All right, next one.
Well, they wouldn't be in schools together. I mean, public schools are the first thing to go.
Oh, that's true, but they'd be in...
Well, that goes into our next question.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I missed one. Who would indoctrinate the children?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is something else that I'm really pleased that Christians took the lead on, is recognizing that public schools are there to break your children and teach them values that are complete anathema to the values of the family. So who would indoctrinate the children? The networks.
There still be I guess there would be networks.
Yeah, of course.
You still have TV.
Yeah. But they'd be doing a much worse job of it.
PBS though.
That's for sure.
Who would make Sesame Street?
Whoever's making it now. It's not PBS. They sold it.
Oh yeah, it used to be. It's HBO now.
Right. HBO.
It never would have existed, so.
Yeah. There's no way you could have that successful show in the free market, which has made literally $8 trillion.
Never could have survived.
Yeah.
Who would deliver all the Amazon packages?
Drones.
Would the drones have Hellfire missiles on them? Heckfire, sorry.
Heckfire.
Heckfire 2s.
There would be weaponry because you're going to have competing companies with their own counter drones.
They could shoot each other down, like Amazon drones versus UPS drones or something. Blasting at each other.
Yeah, I think that would happen.
And what about money? What war criminals will we print on money?
Ooh, you guys are good.
Emperor Norton.
Emperor Norton the First.
Norty Bucks.
That's a throwback to our last episode.
That's okay. Yeah, I don't. It would be, well, you'd have as much money as you like, and as many currencies as you like.
You just print whatever you want on your money.
And I think paper money, or although money's not technically paper, is kind of an anachronism. And I think some countries have gotten away with it entirely, is my understanding.
So you think we wouldn't have it? We'd have little credit chips.
Yeah.
We'd have a chip implanted in our arm.
No, we're not going to do that. It's not going to be the arm, it's in the forehead.
666. That's bolt.
The mark of the beast. Yeah, the forehead.
Are you a crypto guy?
I am a crypto guy.
This wasn't on my list. I was just curious.
I am, absolutely. Very much. One of the things I talk about in the New Right is this is a great example of, let's look at, I'm not an advocate of democracy by any means. So you have your point of view about my life, and I have my point of view about my life. Cool. So we're not having this conversation, and the only thing that is keeping you from implementing your point of view on me is a disparity in power. And technology is the one thing that limits and equalizes people. Like guns is a great example. No matter how big the guy is, you're a small lady, you have a gun.
Pointed at me.
Why did you point at him when you said how big the guy is?
I'm talking about gout and jars of pee big. Not just like a big dude. I mean like doop, doop,
That's actually,
doop.
I was like 80 pounds heavier during that story.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
No. So that has happened now. Wait,
you derailed Michael.
You completely derailed me. So
it was fine, and then I mentioned the derailing, and then it...
Yeah, that has like rebooted me. So, in conclusion, Libya is a land of great contrasts.
Wait, who's that?
You were talking about technology.
Oh, no. So technology is the thing that will liberate everything. And, crypto is a great example of this. Like, oh, you're going to force me to have this stupid money. Cool. I'm going to do what I want, and I'm going to electronically, privately send it to somebody, and they're going to send me stuff, and that's too bad.
I don't understand cryptocurrency at all.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm so confused.
I don't get it. I just don't understand what it is. Like,
there's nothing to get. It's like when you play Monopoly, right? There's money there.
Right.
You take that money, you give it to somebody else. They give you money can be exchanged for goods and services like peanuts, or steaks. So it's the same.
For example, just
enunciate.
You understand credit cards, right? That there's nothing tangible.
What?
If you use a credit card on the internet, right?
I thought there was actually a guy that walked over to your vault and picked up the cash.
No, but what's the difference in your mind between
9 monocles?
Yeah, but I guess it's weird because isn't it all mined and crowdsourced to all these different?
It's not crowdsourced. So yeah, it's mined. So basically how you get a Bitcoin is you have an algorithm, and the algorithm, you run the math. It takes a long time on a computer. It generates a Bitcoin. The more Bitcoins there are, the fewer Bitcoins there are available mathematically to produce. And it's asymptotic because the more that have been mined, the more expensive they're going to get. They're going to be, in circulation. So these are two kind of mechanisms to keep the supply of the money stable and finite. And the market is keeping it stable and finite through mathematics, if I understand it correctly. There's a great video. It was your rivals, The Onion, I think. Watch this man mumble incoherently about Bitcoin for 3 minutes. Bitcoin, the blockchain.
I'm lost.
Yeah, still. What war criminal would we print on the Bitcoins?
Pinochet. That's easy.
That's the helicopter reference again. What would we do with the Hall of Presidents at Disneyland?
In the Anarchist, we'd miss out on that awesome ride.
What would happen? Oh, this is a good one.
Is Trump in the Hall of Presidents?
I remember seeing it, and it looks like they had built a Hillary one, and they tried to alter it into Trump. It looks really weird. Have you seen it?
I have not. Wait, Michael's still stumped.
I feel like it would be, like you go to those museums that are like serial killer houses. So you just look at all so they'd be all lined up, and all their atrocities and their lies would be, oh my gosh.
I'm showing the picture
looks like
of
Hillary.
Trump in the Hall of Presidents. Right. I'm telling you, it looks like they made Hillary, then they take it back and make it Trump. We didn't think this was going to happen. There's no way.
Wow.
Horrifying.
They pulled the skin out a little.
Yeah.
Took out the lizard eyes, put it in some real eyes.
Smush it up a bit more.
I went to the Museum of Communism in Prague, and the Czechs are not fans of the commies, to say the least. And what was amazing is, unlike an American museum, or even if you go to the Holocaust Museum, it's going to be very serious and austere. This is about the horrors of communism. But the way they were captioned was complete contemptuous and irreverence. It was above a McDonald's too. And they're like, according to Marxism, communism would result in plenty and no one would ever be hungry. In reality, this demented ideology meant that we were all starving and forced to wait in line for hours. So it was very much not both sides, but this is evil and ridiculous. It was very wonderful to see. Yeah,
that's great.
Highly recommend it.
What would we call Lincoln Logs? We never had president.
Lincoln Logs.
It's not that we never did, but
Lincoln Logs.
Would we have to? Would we have to get rid of?
Probably.
This is future. I was trying to think if we were always anarchy.
Can I say the word turds?
Yeah, you're allowed to say turds.
Turds. I think a Lincoln Log would be a euphemism for a turd.
Turd logs.
Yeah. I'm guessing.
What would they call Washington State?
Oh.
We have to get rid of all the president names of things.
Yeah, I think you guys have a little bit of a idiosyncratic understanding of what anarchism is. It's not like in an anarchist culture, presidents have never existed. And they're inherently have to be down the memory hole. There's never been a presidency. That's just lies that they teach you in those public schools of yore. So
sounds like you're bending things around to kind of fit your narrative.
It would be called Washington Society. The state's the issue. That's the problem there, not Washington.
Who would take my money and tell me what goods and services I need?
Your accountant. Or your wife. Your wife, obviously.
The same person who does now.
True.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, jeez. Who would kill Jeffrey Epstein?
Oh. Gosh.
You had to make me be the one read that one, huh?
It would have to be. It would still have to be Hillary. Did you? Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. You guys must have a field day with this one.
Who would shoot the dogs?
Are you allowed to do this? How are you more savage than me, even on this subject? Oh my god!
To be honest, we had about 3 minutes to write.
Yeah, we did this right before we got here.
You did a great job. The neighbors for trespass.
Who would you rather have run the national parks, Costco or Sam's Club?
There's a Costco by my house. I'm not a fan. Sam's Club, what's the difference? Are they just basically the same?
It's the Walmart knockoff of Costco.
Oh, I'm going to go with Costco then.
And finally,
yeah,
who would be the best anarchist president?
Who would be the best anarchist president? It would probably be, let's see if all the anarchists. Would it be very failed podcaster Tom Woods? I'm going to go with that. I'm sure a lot of
failed podcaster.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of your
You were on his show,
it.
right?
I was.
Yeah, so very failed
Libertarian
podcaster Tom Woods, yeah.
All right. We'll let him know. We'll tag him in the...
I'll text him, yeah.
Yeah.
He knows.
Failing Tom Woods.
Very failed podcaster.
Very failed. It's like a thing you like when you're new at screenwriting, you constantly put very on everything.
Yeah.
I'm just a young writer. He's very, very angry. Add an extra very, make sure they know.
More adverbs. Needs more adverbs.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead.
I don't know if we ever actually got into it because you went to North Korea, like physically.
You've never been?
No, I haven't.
It's the new Milan.
I've always wanted to go.
Yeah.
So what was that like? You went to North, how'd you get there?
It was legal at the time.
So you could just buy a ticket?
No. So what you have to do is there are a couple of organizations and they partner with the North Korean government. So the North Korean government at a certain point after the Cold War and the Soviet Union and China stopped subsidizing them. Well, what do they have to produce to earn currency? Very little. So eventually they're like, all right, we can have tourism. And Kim Jong-il was actually caught on tape saying, we don't want hordes of tourists coming here, destroying the country and spreading AIDS. Like that was his line. So it's very expensive. You have to go through China. You have to, get approved. But I mean, it is impossible. I wrote an article for Reason Magazine, my week in North Korea. It's impossible to accurately portray what it's like to other people because every aspect of the environment is foreign and artificial and different. So the air, the architecture, the people, the sidewalks, like wherever you look, something it's off. So when something is so pervasive in its disorientation, you can't really replicate that experience verbally.
Right. I saw the famous Vice video where the guys go over and they show kind of the bizarreness of like he goes into a tea shop and it's all set up for like lots of people, but clearly like they're just waiting for him to come in.
That's kind of
and then walk out.
That Vice documentary had some inaccuracies.
Okay.
Like that thing like you were saying.
On Vice, that's shocking.
Yeah, well, like I mean, it's useful because it exposed people to what North Korea life is like. But like he basically implies that he got smuggled in. He did not. And here's another example in that documentary. So in North Korea, you can't criticize the government. It is an absolute heresy and taboo, like to a religious point. And there was this one scene where he's in the ballroom at the hotel and they feed him and they have like food for other people. And Shane goes, "Oh, where's everybody else?" And the woman's like, "Oh, they just left." And he's like, haha, how stupid they are. It's like you're putting her on the spot on the camera, asking her to explain an apparent anomaly. She can't say we don't have customers here. So she's doing pretty good improv in her own way. So, I mean, there's no First Amendment there. You don't have freedom of speech, and they punish your whole family. Yeah. So you have to be very, 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 very paranoid about what you say. And that's why a lot of times they say things that seem absurd because someone is watching them. So you better, let's suppose, one of us was a hostage, right? And we have to make a videotape to send to our family. And we're covered in bruises and a black eye and broken nose. Yeah. And you're like, I'm fine. I'm great. And they're like, what happened to your nose? You're not going to be like, they broke it. You have to be like, I was playing Frisbee and I fell. That's what it is. That's the reality of the situation there. Yeah. And that's what people have to keep in mind. There was this Laura Ling or Lucy Ling, I always forget her name. She was there with the family in Pyongyang, and to be in Pyongyang, the capital, you have to be very, very trusted by the government. And she says, "Oh, can Kim Jong-il do anything wrong?" Like, she's on camera asking them to criticize their leader, and they pretended they didn't understand her. And it's like, you are really an evil human being to do this to these people.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to be having their lives threatened.
Yes, but what can they say? If they say no, then it's like you're making him out to be a superhuman. And if you say yes, you're criticizing him. Just awful.
So I saw a documentary that's on Netflix. You've probably seen it, where these medical people come over and they help them with the cataracts.
Yes,
right. So they basically give all these people their sight back. And the craziest thing about this whole thing is, like, as each person gets their sight back, they see a picture of
Kim Jong-il
on the wall, and they start bowing and crying to it and thanking it as if he gave their sight back, not these people came over to.
What you have to appreciate is these people are on camera.
Right, and so as I was wondering, you think it's more that?
Of
You think
course. If you're on camera, they had these. Here's another example. They were playing soccer in South Africa, or whatever, some soccer game, and the coach said, Kim Jong-il was basically the one who told us how to win. And they go, how did he communicate? It's like, we have this cell phone, like this magic cell phone, and they're like, haha, what an idiot, how crazy. It's like, you're putting him on the spot. Yeah, the guy has to make up some cockamamie thing about how it's actually Kim Jong-il who's coaching this team.
Now, how much do you think, is there like genuine people in North Korea that really do think he's God? And
very much.
Okay.
Very much.
So that's my curious. I'm curious in that scene where they're worshipping his picture.
It's like America. You're going to have urban versus rural.
Right.
And you're going to have earnestness versus, are you kidding me? Like, I know a refugee, and there's a very famous North Korean story that they tell the kids where Kim Jong-il's in kindergarten. This is all in my book, everything I'm mentioning. And the teacher says to him, 1 + 1 is 2. And he's like, not always. And she goes, what do you mean? He goes, well, if I add 1 drop of water to another drop of water, I don't have 2 drops, I have 1 bigger drop. And like, therefore communism, right? And this refugee I know, she's in kindergarten, 1st grade. She thinks to herself, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. like, what are you talking about? But she knew to smile and nod and be like, oh yeah, what a genius. This is amazing. So there is, when they're teaching now that Kim Jong-un knew how to drive a car at age 2 or 4, which is physically impossible. How's he reaching the pedals? It's getting harder and harder. Right. It's getting hard that he invented. It's getting harder and harder for the, we talk about fake news in the cathedral here, to maintain their hegemony, because if I tell you lies all the time, as soon as you catch me in one, the whole thing falls apart. And especially if you have more and more people from outside who like escape, or you communicate with outsiders, you realize, okay, this is ridiculous nonsense. And we want to listen to crappy music from South Korea.
As soon as I, what you're saying with if you catch somebody in a lie, you catch the media in a lie, that's how you start to realize that maybe they lie a lot more than you think. Right. I see that, like when I actually know something about a topic.
Oh yeah.
And then I read an article on it and I'm like, you guys have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
And then I think, okay, all the stuff that I don't know about that I read, and I just assume they know what they're talking about. I don't know. I feel like that there's probably a term for this phenomenon.
I'm very big on animals and zoology. And, I totally spurred out. There was an article that there was every outlet covered it, that there's this Galapagos turtle, this one male kept the species from extinction because they bred him with all these other females and blah, 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 blah. And they only preserved a subspecies, of which there are, I think, like 12. So there's such a profound difference between a species and a subspecies, where a subspecies can something be like, it just happens to be geographically located here, or like the lip is a little bigger, or this one's blue and yellow and this one's just blue, right? I mean, it's the same, they can interbreed, it's the same species by all accounts, but all the headlines like, oh, turtle saves a species. And then immediately it starts talking about subspecies. It's like, what are you doing? Do you not have someone with like a high school information of like a zoological taxonomy there?
Yeah, well, we see it like when they report on the church, they report on religion,
imagine.
And we read it and we're like, this person has never been to a church in their lives.
I was reading this article on my show, A Nightshade, about they passed a pro-life law in some southern state, maybe it was Alabama or South Carolina, you guys will probably remember, and they quoted someone from like some pro-choice organization about why this bill is a bad idea. But they never quoted a pro-life person explaining why it's a good idea. And I just read it. I'm like, well, I want to hear what the pro-life defense of this is, because as you're framing it, it sounds pretty egregious. But no.
Yeah.
So is the media better here or in North Korea?
It's
should go on record saying our media is better than North Korea.
our media is far better than North Korea's. Yes. Yeah.
Did you have any interactions in North Korea that were like real moments with anybody there?
They're not robots. If they were robots, it would work. So when you see how normal they are and vapid, it's terrifying. Because, we like to think that people in these weird countries, and I'm going to sound like a whatever, but it's true, are totally alien to us. And you see grandmas with their grandkids, doting over them. And you see the teenage boys in their Adidas tracksuits who have attitudes. And you're like, wow, like they're all in prison. And they've been in prison for decades. And most of them know they're in prison. And that is what makes it really, really disturbing. And the fact that everyone I've met when I was there is still there.
Yeah.
Like I'll see people I've seen like on Instagram, and it's just like they're rich. They're in Pyongyang. They're like the richest ones, and they're still trapped. They can never. And if they leave the country, their family will be killed publicly and made examples of.
That's crazy. So do you see any end to the North Korean government?
Yeah, I think things are spiraling much quicker than people realize. I think when these regimes go down, they go down hard and fast. Like Libya is a good example. Like that was very, very quick.
Despite Hillary Clinton's best effort.
Despite that video on YouTube, which caused rioting. So what any state needs, especially a state that's that kind of religious in its nature, is earnestness and belief. And at a certain point, it's like, if you're hungry, I don't care. I just want food. So the increasing understanding that there's an illegitimacy to this government and that's not providing what it promised, that's the healthiest thing. And the fact that so much of it's happening through black markets, which is a great mechanism, and this is my anarchist brain talking, but it's the truth. It's a great mechanism for undermining any kind of totalitarianism. Because if you're getting your food through alternative mechanisms, your loyalty is going to be toward your stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always think that, I know there's a lot in it for him, Kim Jong, to be keeping, getting to be in that position, but, like a kid of a cult or, a super far in one direction religion, each generation kind of starts to see the...
Oh, yeah. Yes, exactly.
And then also because now they have the internet and they're so connected to the rest of the world.
Well, they don't have the internet by law, right? It's illegal to be on the internet.
I assume Kim Jong-un.
Oh, yeah. He knows what's up.
Yeah. I always forget which Kim Jong is up right now.
Number uno.
Yeah. Uno. But he's number dos.
Number tres.
Tres.
Yeah, he's third, right?
Yeah, Kim Il-sung was first, the great leader.
Yeah.
I love how you guys think anarchism means hating presidents.
He's an anarchist.
What does that even mean? He hates presidents. Oh, okay.
Well, no, I think we went two different directions. One was like, what if we never had the government? And then we're like, where's all this great stuff go?
Yeah.
Like the Hall of Presidents. That's all I can think of.
And that's our one. We're also like example
in the future. It was really mixed up.
Don't bring up presidents around him. It really sets him off.
Yeah. I had to hide my Abraham Lincoln tattoo before you came in. So which dystopian novel? Wait, why are you laughing? My Abraham Lincoln tattoo?
Which dystopian hexscape?
Hexscape.
Yeah.
No, which dystopian novel got it closest to what North Korea is? Like 1984?
Oh, closest to North Korea?
Yeah, to North Korea.
How many dystopian novels are there? There aren't that many.
There's a bunch. But I guess what I'm thinking of is like when I read 1984 and then I watch one of those North Korean documentaries, to me that's like a...
But 1984 was like high tech.
Yeah, that's true.
This is what Ayn Rand gets right, the vampire novelist, is that when you have these totalitarian regimes, technology doesn't keep pace. There's that joke about what the socialists used before they used candles, light bulbs. Yeah. So you don't have electricity in Pyongyang, the capital. So this 1984, almost Gattaca-like country is not a thing. I don't know. I don't think because all of these dystopian novels take place in the future. And like I mentioned in my article on Reason, when you go to North Korea, you're going to another planet back in time. But it's also different times. So like the first thing I saw in the parking lot at the airport was a woman dressed in like she was like a rich woman, but that meant like 80s clothes, and talking to a military guy who was stopping her, which was like 50s Russian, you know? So you're not having any sort of futurism at all. Everything is old.
Yeah.
And wearing down. So I don't think there's many dystopian novels, which is counterintuitive, that focus on like decadence and decay. Although ostensibly they all came from a better place.
Yeah, I guess that's true. All the dystopias are like we have advanced far enough where now the government controls everything.
Yeah,
but that place is like the government controls everything, but they don't have the technological.
Right, they don't have water, running water. Yeah.
So how long were you there for?
Oh, I know the dystopian novel that most resembles North Korea is Dear Reader.
His book.
See, I set you up. I teed you up to promote your work.
I was there for a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got any cool stories?
Sure.
We're the best interviewers.
Andrew Doyle got mad at me for asking him that, but like I was like, sometimes you have a cool story you want to get to that you could get to, and I don't know the questions to get to it. I just want to, you got any cool stories from North Korea?
He really mocked us hard for that question.
Yeah. Like, oh, great interview, guys.
So you got a good interview. You just asked me
such a British snob.
Yeah, it's those British.
I'll give you a good story
about
North Korea. I'm going to get all earnest on this air quotes satire show.
Okay.
Yeah.
We like Ernest. We're good with
I was on Fox and Friends First, where there were those recently those hostages were released from North Korea, and they got off the plane and they were kissing the ground in America, and Trump had freed them. And the interviewer asked me, "What is your big concern with the upcoming summit?" And I said, "The ongoing enslavement of the North Korean people." And they were like, "Oh, duh." So my story is, you can hate Trump or Obama, I don't care. Whenever you hear a story about North Korea, realize you've got 25 million people in constant fear for their lives and their families. And the only thing that matters is their peaceful liberation. And I'm not even saying they got to be some Western democracy. Mm-hmm. I'm saying get them to the point where they have a passport, access to information, and they can get drunk and eat their kimchi. I'm not being racist. They're obsessed with it there. On their recliner, like everybody else, and watch 3 channels. Like, that's it. Then we're done. That's my list. So that, to me, and I haven't found anyone who really disagrees, whenever you hear a story, think, what does this mean for these people? And why is this being presented this way in terms of the government maintaining total control? Because this didn't happen overnight. It's not an accident they've outlasted everybody, since the 40s till 2020 now.
Remember they had that like Facebook group? They're like, let's mob Area 51. We should do a Facebook group. Let's mob North Korea.
That's going to end well for everybody.
Good idea, Ethan.
Just throwing ideas in.
What do you think about how
North Korea is so pro-gun that Kim Jong-il's mom, anti-Japanese heroine Kim Jong-suk, that's always how she's pronounced with an epithet. She's pictured in this hanbok, which is the Korean traditional dress, which people are familiar with, I'm sure. And she'll be standing in front of a lake with like cherry blossoms or whatever, but she's holding a gun.
Yeah.
So she's always portrayed holding a gun because she was supposed to be
They're like in like children's songs and stuff. Right?
Yeah.
And plus bombs. They're all about bombs.
So there's a lot of but it's just very weird because it's very traditional Asian, old school, but she's holding a pistol. So there's a lot of that conflation that's unique to North Korea and really bizarre by our sensibility.
But the citizens don't. Do they have guns?
No, but a lot. I mean, they have the 4th largest military in the world.
Yeah.
So joining the military is a huge, huge honor. And basically, Kim Jong-il's ideology was called Songbun, which means military first, which means the military eats first. So they have a cult of the gun. And there's a story about the great leader Kim Il-sung sat down little Kim Jong-il and was like, a gun is every revolutionary's best friend. A gun will never betray you. And he gave him his gun as this token of whatever. So it's very much venerated there.
Wow.
That's how Ethan was raised.
Yeah.
Except for it was the baby back ribs. Just making fat jokes at my own expense.
And the jars of urine. And
it was the pencil and for drawing. The sketch pencil.
I've got the gout. So how? What are your thoughts on how Don in the White House is handling North Korea?
I'm disappointed that it's at a stalemate.
Mm-hmm.
I am ecstatic that he's made this topic a conversation. I could not believe it Ann Coulter got very butthurt at the State of the Union when you had that North Korean refugee who I think they ran over his leg or something. He's holding up the crutch, in the State of the Union audience. She's like, "This isn't our problem, North Korea." It's like, sure, I get that argument. It's still good when people escape dictatorships. Right, yeah. We can still be like, it's great this person survived and is healthy. Let's applaud that. Yeah. So I am very sad. There was a lot of momentum happening. I am very worried that it's going to be on the back burner, and that just is more time for these people to be, suffering.
Well, no, a lot of us got real concerned. You see Trump tweeting back and forth with North Korea, like, threatening nuclear war and all this stuff. And for those of us who were really concerned when Trump was elected that he was going to be this crazy guy, it was like, oh, this isn't going to work. He's going to...
Sure.
And it didn't happen. It actually worked, it seemed like, as a deterrence. And what were you thinking when Trump started doing this kind of stuff?
I was thinking he's speaking their exact language, because they're very big on, in their own words, going up to America and slapping her across the face and making her do what we want, right? They talk about this. They compare themselves, this is also in my book, to an anthill. And we're an elephant. And they say explicitly, the ants can't kill the elephant, but we can guide it to the way we want it to go. We forget, North Korea has this secret weapon that gives everyone amnesia. North Korea sentenced President Trump to death in absentia. And they were going to nuke Guam or Alaska. And then 6 months later, they're holding hands. So this is, you're speaking to, when any kind of conversation, negotiation, you want to meet that person on their level. If someone says, oh, I want to buy a fancy car. No, you don't. You want to get a cheap one. That's not salesmanship, right? Or you can maneuver them being like, well, this fancy car is really blah, 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 but you have to be in their context. So he did that very effectively. Obama didn't seem to care one way or another, which was very sad. But Trump obviously cares, and he cares about it on a humanitarian level. So again, I'm just sorry it's not more of an issue recently. In a good way.
Have you ever been a car salesman?
I have not. No, I've never been a car salesman. I don't even know how to drive.
Really?
Yeah.
What are some? Have you ever been a dishwasher?
No.
What are some jobs you've had in your day?
Like the first job I had was writing for an aquarium magazine.
Oh, you got an applause for that.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's fun coming to California with people.
Your first job was writing in a magazine.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you just.
Then I went to college.
Huh.
I never had a grunt work.
Wow.
So you had real work.
No wonder you're such an elitist.
Yeah.
Of course I am. I have a piece of Alexander Hamilton's hair hanging in my office. I'm serious. Really? Yeah.
Did you buy it with troll money?
No, I bought this 20 years ago, before he was such a thing.
Oh, before the play.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Who are your top 5 presidents?
That's a good one. Top 5. I would say Harding. I don't know. I don't.
Harrison.
Why?
William Henry Harrison.
I hate that joke. I hate it. We want to abolish the presidency, not the presidents. Doesn't make sense.
You just tell me you hate my joke on my show?
Well, it's not your joke. You know why? Because it's not your joke. This is a silly cliche that you see on the internet that these libertarians throw out. My favorite president is William Henry Harrison because he died so quickly.
My joke
that was
my voice.
I was doing an accurate impression of your voice. People are always surprised what they sound like when they hear themselves.
We always say he talks like Kermit the Frog.
I don't see it.
I got devastated by McGill Alexander in our last interview. Yeah. He was like, "Oh, he's a South African guy," and he goes, "Oh, so is that supposed to be a joke?" And I was like, "Oh."
He said it so politely, though.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And now Michael Malice.
Yeah, I don't have 5.
You don't have 5?
I don't think I could.
What are the bottom 5?
Wilson, by far.
Okay.
2 would be FDR. 3, maybe LBJ. Who else is horrible? Teddy Roosevelt. That's 4 of them.
That's 4.
Andrew Jackson might be up there.
Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
So no Bush,
he
Obama.
Was a big populist. No, they're no one near as bad as some of these other ones.
What about Polk? I don't know. About him.
No, he got Mexico, didn't he?
I don't know what he did.
He got
Polks. Yeah, I thought he got a lot of land.
I have no idea.
Hey, fact checker, let us know.
Do you know who is really a disturbed president and no one talks about this? Grover Cleveland. Do you know about this?
He's the really fat one, right?
No, that's William Howard Taft, who's going to be played by Anna Navarro in an upcoming biopic.
What?
Grover Cleveland adopted a girl as a baby and married her the month she turned 21.
Wow, that's bizarre.
That's really creepy.
Wait, was the law 21 back then?
I'm assuming.
Why do you wait to 21?
Well, he doesn't want to give off the wrong impression. That there's some kind of impropriety here about marrying your daughter who you've raised since she was a baby. That's weird. Or I don't know if he raised her so much as he was the head of her estate, but yeah, he knew her since she was a baby.
It was like Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Like a Woody Allen thing.
Love knows no age.
I guess.
We need to use this on the teaser for this episode. Ethan. Love knows. Wow, that's not good.
Yeah, are we into the subscriber portion yet?
Nixon might be there, top 5. He's
Bottom
horrible. Bottom 5. Yeah, Nixon might be up there.
Okay, so now we got your 5.
That's 6, I think, I threw out. But
Yeah,
that's
that's 6. Yeah.
What was the 5th? I missed the 5th.
Jackson.
Jackson, that's right. You said Jackson. What do you want to promote? If you want to promote anything, you need the New Right, or
I guess if people want to read the books, The New Right is about the non-conservative or unorthodox right wing and the history of it. So that came out in May, which it did very well. And my other book, if you want to know everything you need to know about North Korea in one sitting, it's Dear Reader, the Unauthorized Autobiography of Kim Jong-il. And I figured out a way, which you guys would appreciate with what work you do, is to take the story of North Korea and find humor in it, even though it's very, very, very dark humor. But that makes it the palatable.
And then you can be followed at Michael Malice. We'll put that all in the show notes.
And I apologize in advance to all the God-fearing listeners.
Coming up next for Babylon Bee subscribers.
The government can't be our morality, right?
It can, with nefarious consequences.
Yeah, like pure force.
if anybody in the NSA is listening right now, I just want to be clear that me and Ethan love the government.
It's only thanks to social media that people are pointing out their malfeasance and depravity.
Well, we've talked about
that's why
this.
they hate Joe Rogan, because
people just sit there for 3 hours and talk.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no gatekeeper telling you this is what he believes, or framing a headline.
Enjoying this hard-hitting interview? Become a Babylon Bee subscriber to hear the rest of this conversation. Go to babylonbee.com/plans for full-length, ad-free podcasts. Kyle and Ethan would like to thank Seth Dillon for paying the bills, Adam Ford for creating their job, the other writers for tirelessly pitching headlines, the subscribers, and you, the listener. Until next time, this is Dave D'Andrea, the voice of the Babylon Bee.
I'm thinking of like in every 80s movie, there's always a gang of bad guys, and there's always one guy that has like crazy hair, and he's like, yeah.
Drones.
Would the drones have Hellfire missiles on them? Heckfire, sorry.
Heckfire.
Heckfire 2s.
The creator of farts.
What's that?
The creator of farts.
Oh, the creator. Yeah. I think it's a crater. Like
the creator.
How much gout did you have?
That's what I call my chair.
Yeah.
The creator.